Well, actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found brutally murdered in their home in Brentwood, California. Reportedly, they had their throats slashed. They weren't just stabbed. Rob, Michelle, and their son Nick were reportedly in a heated argument at a Christmas party that was hosted at Conan O'Brien's house on Saturday night. The loud argument then resulted in them leaving the party in, not a good humor, obviously. And then they left. It's not clear if their son left with them, but he has now been arrested and reportedly charged for his murder. This is a picture of him on the right, although more recent pictures show him with far less hair and a little bit more of a portly face. I think that's a flattering picture that's not recent. Of course, we don't know why, and it's a terrifying story to be obviously killed by someone that you love the most. No matter how you feel, your reaction should not automatically be, well, he was a liberal, right? Because he was a human.
He had Trump derangement syndrome.
Right, tell us more about that.
He had TDS, he had Trump derangement syndrome, he needs to be killed.
Right, exactly. Right. I didn't agree with his politics, so good riddance for him. Well, okay, many people already posting horrible things online, and it's reminiscent of Charlie Kirk's death. So instead of sending a message of sadness or saying nothing, President Trump instead posted this. Very sad thing happened to Rob Reiner. He was tortured and struggling, but once was very talented. He says he reportedly passed away due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. He was known to have driven people crazy by this obsession. So what he's saying is that because he was so insufferable with Trump derangement syndrome, that led to people wanting to kill him, namely his son. Here is when he was asked about it this afternoon. Watch, he doubles down.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. It was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country, yeah.
Loose lips, Mr. President. Leader Thune doesn't seem...
Okay. Why does what you think of him personally have to do with the story? And do you really think that his politics are what would cause his son to kill him, even if he was an addict? We don't know that. That's unsubstantiated. I don't see how this is much different than what Matthew Dowd did on the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated on MSNBC. He was fired for this. Watch.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
Okay. So this is the same logic, right?
A lot of people in our chat saying this is not classy, Mr. Trump.
Yeah. I mean,
I just picture Ronald Reagan sending a tweet. I just couldn't picture Ronald Reagan. You totally disagree with him on politics or anything, but to send a tweet like that about the reason that he was killed was because he had Trump derangement
Right.
syndrome?
He's not even been dead 24 hours hardly at this point. We need to remember that conservatives cheered on the firing and canceling of people who were happy about Charlie Kirk's death. Here are just a few of them. Over 600 people were punished. Now, here on Redacted, you might recall, we took a nuanced approach from this. We didn't like to see it, but we also thought that free speech exists. And if you're a free speech purist, you stand for the speech that you hate. There was nuance, right? Should a teacher who showed the murder video repeatedly to fifth graders without parents' permission be fired? Yes. Should a school law enforcement officer who said that the sniper who killed Charlie Kirk was a hero or overqualified or something to that effect? Well, yeah, there's an argument to be made that her job is to guard children. If she thinks that some people should be assassinated for their politics, maybe that's not the right job for her. Maybe you don't feel safe with her guarding your kids. That's fine, but we were careful to point out that this cancel culture was going too far and would reverberate it. And if you supported it, then how can you support President Trump saying something similar? Well, here's some independent thinkers who don't. Representative Thomas Massey saying that this is inappropriate and disrespectful discourse about a man who was just brutally murdered. And, you know, anyone in the GOP, the vice president, the White House staff want to ignore it, want to challenge it? Bueller. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene saying this was tragic and this is not about politics or political enemies. And many families deal with a family member who's addicted. It doesn't have to do with their politics at all. And then on the opposite side of the coin, here's Laura Loomer, basically sucking up to President Trump, saying absolutely, you know, he was psychotic and this is as a result of Trump derangement syndrome. And again,
and she doubled down. She even posted like an updated one that says Rob Reiner is a loser, and that liberal psychosis is real, and so I guess therefore that he should be had his throat slit.
I mean, this is the world we're living in. I don't like your politics, therefore I don't like you. Therefore, I'm happy when something bad happens to you. That's not a human response, you guys. This is not. I mean, I'm not saying. Look, Trump has a First Amendment right too. He can say this, right? But he is not going to suffer the punishment of people with less power who said something very similar about Charlie Kirk. And are we consistent here? And what do we stand for? That's the question that I'm workshopping with you. Again, I'm not leading you down to any emotional manipulation. I'm telling you how I feel about it, which is I abhor it. But let me know how you feel.
People in the chat room say Looney Loomer, Massey for 2028 for president. Josh Kramer says, move on from Rob Reiner, rest in peace. Daniel Classy says, I guess it was tit for tat. Richard Hutch says, but he was psychotic, damn it. But that doesn't mean he needs to have his throat slit. I don't care about Rob Reiner, Jax says, but what I'm upset about is Trump's statement. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, why even have to insert yourself in this? Just send a, I had written out, did you read my statement that I wrote out? No. But I just said like, you could have said something like, while I didn't agree with his politics and we didn't really get along, like Melania and I are saddened to hear about this brutal murder, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe we can at Christmas time put some partisan politics behind us. I don't know.
And this is, I guess, in line with our show today. It's another person who didn't deserve to die in a violent way, whose death is being hijacked for a political aim. It's the same, right? And we have to speak out against it. Like, no, this is not about a politic. Like, this is a family dispute. This is about addiction, clearly. And I don't know what else. Well, a lot of people are saying he was friends with Epstein. I don't know anything about that. Do you?
Yeah. I don't know how close they were.
Right.
How many friends did Epstein have?
Epstein
my God.
knew everybody. Yeah.
Epstein knew everyone. But yeah, there's plenty of photos of him. I don't know how many times, if he's like been to the island or anything like that. But again, like, does somebody deserve to have their throat slit? That's for God to
right.
To judge.
If that is actually the case, he should have been investigated by the Justice Department, not had his throat slit. That's not how it works.
Yeah, Pam Bondi, like, where was the investigation into Rob Reiner? Like, we should be more angry at like the lack of justice coming from the Justice Department and the DOJ.
Where's Kash Patel with his?
Yeah,
where's Kash Patel finding all of the bullets with writings on them?
Right. Yeah. Where's Kash Patel showing up in his in the FBI jet? Wearing a junior small jacket, saying, "I'm here. I'm investigating all of this."
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody says Ranky Tansky says we deserve better. We do. We do. Well said.
Yeah, exactly.
We all deserve better. We deserve to be having a higher discourse.